Let's get a TikTok live stream key and set up OBS. This is a complete beginner's guide and will also follow streaming best practices. Starting with your stream key, you need to unlock this page, and the only way to unlock this page is by joining free-to-join creator networks. These are sometimes called agencies, and I have my verified and vetted list of agencies, and I'll put that both on the screen and in the description and in my bio. This page fully explains everything about agencies, including a full 12-minute video if you're interested. But the bottom line is you can apply for a stream key, usually through their Discord server, completely for free. So once again, get a free stream key to start with. I'll put the link both on screen, in the description, and in my bio. So of course we start by installing OBS, but we're not going to open it yet. But just download it and run through the installer. All of the default options are fine. Before you open OBS, we're going to head to Aitum.tv. But we're not paying for anything here. We're going to use one of their free products. So we click on products in the top left. We're going to start by clicking on vertical. I'll link these on screen and in the description as well. Just download vertical and run through the installer. Then click on products again and click on multi-stream. As I said, we're following best practices here. So download multi and run through the installer as well. So now you have my recommended OBS plugins installed. So now it's time to open OBS, and of course yours is not going to look like this yet, but of course that's what this guide is going to do. And we're going to start with our first OBS best practice, which is to create a new profile and a new scene. The profile is also going to give us some good default settings. Let's just start with the scene first though. I'm going to click on scene collection at the top and click on new. Give the scene collection whatever is a sensible name for you. For example, I've named mine TikTok live scenes and press OK. Now, if you can't see the vertical canvas yet, we'll fix that in a minute. But first, let's add a profile. So click on profile and press new. And once again, give it a sensible name. I've named mine TikTok live profile. And crucially, make sure show auto config wizard is checked. This is just going to help us get some good settings quickly. So press OK. We're going to optimize for streaming and press next. For now, the base canvas is going to be 1920 by 1080 because this is talking about our landscape canvas. We'll set the FPS to 60, but of course you'll have the option on TikTok to stream either landscape or vertical. Regardless, press next. Underneath service, if you've actually chosen already where you're going to multi-stream to in landscape, then go ahead and pick a platform. If you don't want to multi-stream or if you haven't picked anything, then what I'll do is I'll choose custom. You just type anything into these boxes for now. Regardless of what service you've selected, make sure you prefer hardware encoding, but uncheck the second box. And 6000 is a safe bitrate for all platforms, but many will go up to either 9000 or 10,000. So I'll just set the bitrate to 6000. This is good for 1080p streaming and press next. And as we can see here, we've been given some good default settings, including a hardware encoder by OBS. So we'll just apply the settings. Now, next up, you might not be able to see the vertical canvas yet or the multi-stream options. For example, the multi-stream options aren't on my screen yet. So if you can't see any of these options, just press docs at the top and make sure multi-stream is checked, vertical scenes, vertical sources, vertical, and the scene transitions if you use those. So for me, I've got to check the multi-stream option. Now it's put it in the right place for me, but if it hasn't, sometimes it'll be popped out like this, in which place you can just drag it wherever you want. Again, for me, I just want to drag it on the left. And then you can just drag things to align them as you like. This is my preferred layout, but we all have our own preferences. And we'll come back to the multi-streaming plugin later. So now we've got our two canvases. Let's start setting up our actual live stream, starting with audio. Of course, you need a microphone and your headset. So we're going to click on settings, or we can also go file and settings. And I'm going to head to audio. Underneath desktop audio, this one is my headset, so I'll add in my Cloud 2 wireless. Underneath microphone, I'm going to add in my quadcast. And as I said earlier, generally we've been given good settings. So for now, we can just press OK, and you'll see in the audio mixer, this is shared between vertical and landscape. Our headset and microphone has appeared. You can optionally click the three dots to rename it, for example, to the name of your headset or mic. Now, what I do recommend is clicking the three dots next to your microphone. We're going to add some noise suppression. Most of us have like a computer fan in the background, or maybe some AC, or maybe just in a loud room. Let's click on filters, press the plus button, choose the noise suppression option, press OK. And it's already given me my recommended option, which is RN noise. So I'll just press close. And you'd be surprised how much one audio filter can improve the quality of your stream. That should almost completely remove the sound of any fans or background noise in your room. By the way, if you want to test that your headset's being picked up correctly, just play a YouTube video or anything and watch to see whether or not this green bar moves up or down. So now that we have good audio, it's time to add the visuals to our live stream. So what we're going to do is add the two most common scenes that you see in live streaming. This is a full camera scene and a scene that displays your computer display and your camera. So underneath scenes in the bottom left, if you've already got something named scene, then right click rename. If you can't see it yet, press the plus button. So I'll right click rename and I'm going to call this one full camera and press enter. And I'll press the plus button. I've called this one computer display. You could call it gaming or whatever you're doing that requires showing the computer screen, and press OK. And as I said, we're following best practices, so we're setting up both landscape and vertical. For example, you might want to record a YouTube video in landscape and stream in vertical. But regardless, we of course need the vertical scene as well. So I'm going to right click, rename my vertical scene. We can't give it the same name, so I'm calling it full camera vertical and press OK. And likewise, I'll name this one computer display vertical. And then I'm going to right click computer display vertical, click on linked scenes and click on computer display. And I'm going to right click full camera vertical, click on linked scenes and click on full camera. And if you watch the scenes on the left, you can see it's linked the two together now. So let's click on full camera and set this up. For now, we're just going to add our camera. If you watch later on, we're going to add more best practices like alerts to it. But for now, let's click the plus button. Our camera is called a video capture device. I suggest just the name of your camera as the source. So I've called mine Logitech StreamCam and press OK. Find the correct camera on the list and then scroll down underneath resolution FPS type. It adds in a lower resolution for me for some reason, so I just make sure the resolution is set to at least 1920 by 1080, and I set the FPS to 60 or 30 if your camera is lower than that. Usually the other defaults are fine, so now I can press OK, and you can see we've now got our camera added in landscape, and if we want to make any tweaks to it, under these sources we can click on it, and you can see we've got these squares that we can drag. You can also right click, transform, and choose a number of these options, for example centering it to the screen. You can also crop it if you wish. You can hold the Alt button on your keyboard and drag any of these squares. So you can see I can crop it, cut myself off. But for me, it's added it just fine. So I'm going to follow one more best practice, which is to press the lock button on the sources so I don't accidentally click on it while I'm live. And of course, now let's add it to vertical. I'll press the plus button underneath vertical sources. And we're going to find the video capture device option. And you can see it's already there because it's already inside OBS now. So now once again, let's put it in the right place on the screen. I'm just going to click on it underneath vertical sources. We can drag it. I'm going to stretch it down all the way to the bottom. And an easy trick to center it properly, right click, transform, center horizontally. So that my camera is now perfectly centered. And again, we'll follow more best practices with these scenes later. But for now, we'll just lock it into place. And let's click on computer display. And you can see it's moved both vertical and landscape back to our blank canvas, where we can now add in our computer display and camera again. So you're probably following along now. Under the sources, we press the plus button and find the right thing to add. Now you can just choose game capture, which would only capture the game, or window capture for a specific window. But I like to keep it simple. You just got to be careful what you show on the screen and choose display capture. This just shows everything on one screen. Give it a sensible name. For example, screen 2 for me is what we're about to show, or the brand manufacturer, whatever it is, just press OK. Capture method automatic is fine, and then just find the correct screen. Make sure you capture the cursor, that's usually what you want, and press OK. And you can see screen 2 is now added in landscape. Once again, we can click on it. Again, we can resize it if we need to. We can Alt crop if we need to, and we can right click transform if we need to. Again, because it's 1080p for me already, I'll just lock it into place. And now we need to add it to our vertical canvas. So what we'll do in this scenario, we'll do the classic one where the camera's in the top third and the computer display is in the bottom 2/3. So let's press the plus button, find display capture. Once again, screen 2 is already there for me. So I'm just going to drag it to the bottom, drag it up so it is roughly in the bottom 2/3, so maybe like that. Once again, I'm going to right click, transform, center horizontally. And again, you can tweak it later on. And of course, you can play around with its placement on the screen, but for now, I'll just lock it into place. And now let's add our camera, which is going to be easier. So let's start with landscape, find video capture device. It already exists, so add existing. It's the Logitech StreamCam. Of course, this time we don't want it full screen. So we're going to click on it and drag the corners down to resize it. Again, if you want to crop it slightly, just hold Alt and crop the corners a little bit. And if you want to precisely place it, right click transform. This time I'll center it vertically. And you can see I've already got a bit of offset. But if you want to precisely move it around the screen, just use the arrow keys. For example, if I want a 6 pixel offset off the side, you can see it's now set to 6 pixels, and lock it into place when you're happy. And as we said on vertical, we're going to add it in the top third. So new source, again, video capture device, the stream cam's already there. This time I'm going to right click, transform and fit to screen. And I'm just going to drag it up to the top. It looks like we broadly got the dimensions correct. So I'm happy with that. If not, you might just have to unlock screen 2 and play around with it. But I'm happy with it, so I'll just lock it into place. So now theoretically, we've set up a live stream for both vertical and landscape, and we could just go live on TikTok with our stream key. But there's a whole load of best practices that I think we should be following, and this will help us get more engagement in our live stream. More follows, more subs, more likes, basically more of everything if we follow these best practices. So let's do that now. And the first best practice that I strongly recommend is adding alerts to your live stream. This is going to help increase the engagement in your stream, things like more follows, more gifts, and more likes. So let's set up some basic TikFinity alerts, which is my recommended alerts platform for TikTok Live. I'll put the link both on screen and in the description. So do the basic setup to start with. I strongly recommend the TikFinity desktop app. That is for Windows. You'll have to use the website if you're on a Mac. Start on the setup page by making a TikFinity account, then add in your TikTok username. Click on TikTok login on the left and make sure you've logged into TikTok as well. Now that you've done the basics of TikFinity, we're going to add in TikFinity with just a few clicks. It's called their predefined alerts. I'll put my longer guide for TikFinity in the description. But for now, let's scroll down on the left and click on actions and events. And you'll either get this pop-up, in which case you press yes. If you don't see this pop-up, you see in the background here, it says click here to import predefined alerts. So click that instead, but I'll just press yes. And you see this pop-up pops up now with this link. So I'm going to click on the link to copy it to my clipboard. If you've accidentally left this link, for example, if the page looks like this, just scroll down and where it says screen 1, this is the link you're copying. So what this link does is helps us add the TikFinity alerts to OBS. And the decision here is, do you want to add it to both landscape and vertical? For example, if you're multi-streaming on Twitch, do you want your Twitch viewers to see what's happening on TikTok? Or if you're just using landscape to record, maybe you don't want it happening. Just to show you guys how to do it, we're going to add it to both places. So I'll start by clicking back into my full camera scene. Under the sources or vertical sources, press the plus button, choose the browser option this time. This is TikFinity Screen 1, so that's the name I've given it. You could just call it TikFinity Alerts if you want. Press OK, and underneath the URL, replace the URL with the TikFinity one, of course just with Ctrl-V or right-click paste, and it's asking for a width and a height. We usually have to play around with this a little bit, so we'll tweak it later, but so let's try 600 by 300 to start with. Most of these settings are fine, except I'm going to shut down the source when not visible, just so nothing plays in the background, and press OK. And if you can't see anything, click on TikFinity Screen 1, and this is correct. You'll have this basically blank square. So this is where your alerts will appear, but we will be able to test them. But basically choose the size of your alerts and where you want to put them. For example, if I just want them in the middle of the screen, right-click, transform, center to screen. My alerts are now perfectly centered. Lock them into place, and let's do the same on the vertical canvas. So new vertical source. Again, new if you haven't added it yet, but we've already added TikFinity Screen 1. So for example, if I want them above my head here, but perfectly centered, right-click, transform, center horizontally, and we'll lock them into place. Let's test them, and then we'll add them to our computer display. So if I go back to TikFinity, I'm going to shrink it down a little bit. If we stay on the actions and events page here, we can see we've got a follow, gift, like, and a sub alert. By the time you're watching, this might be super fans or something else. And you've got the option to toggle off each alert. For example, if you get too many likes, you could just turn off the like alert. I'll leave it turned on for now. You can also edit each one. For example, I could increase the number of likes. Anyway, my longer TikFinity guide's in the description. Let's focus on testing for now by scrolling to the bottom of the page. And what we're going to do, we're going to press simulate follow, and you can see the alerts now popped up. In actual fact, the size looks okay to me, but if you don't like the size of it, don't forget, just double click the alert or right click properties and just change the width and the height until the alert looks okay. So now let's click on computer display. We've just got to add it in here, but that's easy now. New source, browser, add existing, TikFinity Screen 1. It's already got the right dimensions. For example, again, if I just want to center it to the screen, just lock it into place. And once again, I can do the same on my vertical canvas. TikFinity screen one's already there. For example, I can decide whether I want it over my gaming area or over my camera. For example, I'll just put it over my camera, right-click, transform, center horizontally this time, and lock it into place. And once again, we can just do a quick test. For example, let's simulate a GIF, and you can simulate specific GIFs here. See, for me, it's playing a bit of a sound. Again, the alert size looks fine to me, but again, if you don't like the alert size, just double-click it and change the dimensions. Again, my longer TikFinity guide will be in the description, but let's add one more thing from TikFinity. Let's click on Goal Overlays and choose which goal is most important to you. For example, if I want 10 new followers, then check the Follows section on the Goal Overlays. I do highly recommend customizing it, but just for brevity, we're not going to customize it. Copy the URL of the goal overlay, head back into OBS. Once again, you should be familiar with this now. We're adding sources. I'll call this one TikFinity Follow Goal and press OK. Once again, we'll just replace the URL. For me, I think I find roughly, let's try 500 by 120 off the top of my head. Shut down source when not visible and press OK. Yeah, that actually looks decent. So now we've got a TikFinity follower goal. For example, I might just want it in the top left corner of my stream. You place it wherever you want. Make sure you lock it into place. Again, if you want it on both landscape and vertical, again, you'll only be streaming on TikTok with either landscape or vertical. That is up to you because TikTok supports both. We'll press the plus button, we'll find browser, and we'll add in our TikFinity follow goal here. For example, here, I might want it in the bottom right corner of where my camera is. And don't forget, you can use the arrow keys to maneuver things by the pixel. And I'll lock it into place again. And again, we're following best practice here. So let's head back to the full camera scene. Click on browser, add existing, TikFinity follow goal. Again, it's already in the top left corner. That is fine for me here. So I'll just lock it into place. And I'll do the same on my vertical full camera. So browser, TikFinity follow goal. For example, if I want it further down, or if I want to make it slightly bigger, we can make some tweaks. I might right click, transform, center horizontally again, lock it into place. And now we've basically got some basic good TikFinity settings. Again, I highly recommend you look at my longer TikFinity guide. There's so many great features, but the features alone we've just added should massively help improve the engagement in your live stream. Now, speaking of engagement, if you want to support my work, and you've probably found this valuable if you've reached this far into the video, you can check out my Patreon page. There is over 40 posts and videos in there with advice about accelerating your growth. Things like how the algorithms work on different platforms. So if you want to check that out and support my work, I'll put this on screen and in the description. As I keep mentioning, we are following streaming best practices here. So if you are deciding to multi-stream, I strongly recommend you add alerts for the other platforms. And a platform I know that covers a lot of the other ones is Streamlabs. So I'm going to head to streamlabs.com/dashboard and just quickly add in alerts for the other streaming platforms. So I'm just going to click to copy the URL. And you should be familiar with this process now. I'll press the plus button, find the browser source, add in Streamlabs alerts this time. Once again, for example, if you get a new follower on Twitch, it will put their name on the screen. You should fully customize this on the Streamlabs website. I'll press OK and I'll paste in the URL. For now, I'll actually leave the dimensions as is and shut down source when not visible. And don't forget that the alerts might clash, so you can unlock TikFinity to see where those alerts are. So for example, I can see my TikFinity alerts are centered, so I might just want to put these alerts above, and I actually might want to shrink them down a bit. Again, if I want to center it perfectly, I might center horizontally. So if I uncheck both of them, you can see TikFinity screen alerts in the middle and alerts for other platforms just above. Either way, once you're happy, just lock them both into place. And again, you should be familiar with this now, but I'm going to add my Streamlabs alerts. And this time, I'm just going to put them in the center of the screen. So transform center to screen. And once again, you can see where my TikFinity alerts are. I can see they're not clashing, which is great. And just lock everything into place. And once again, follow the same process on your full camera scene. Again, they already exist. So add existing Streamlabs alerts. For example, let's put them in the bottom right and shrink them down a little bit and lock them into place. Again, this is totally your preference, and we'll test them in a second. Finally, same process here. On the vertical canvas, find the browser option. You've already added them, so Streamlabs alerts. For example, if I want to put them at the bottom of the screen, we'll have them perfectly centered. We center it horizontally. I've basically done it already. And make sure, once again, as a best practice, everything's locked into place. We can see I'm kind of on the side of the screen here. I've got this test option. Let's test a Twitch follow. And you can see I've already got custom alerts. The alerts popped up on the screen. You can see for me, I might want to slightly increase the size. For multi-streaming, I'll put my longer guide to Aitum multi-stream in the description if you are considering streaming on other platforms. So as we can see so far, the stream kind of looks okay, but we don't have any custom graphics. It's not very personalized. So once again, we're following best practices. So let's look at 3 different ways to get custom graphics. And my first method is Fiverr. There is hundreds of artists on Fiverr who can make you fully customized graphics for your live stream. Don't forget to tell them whether you want vertical, landscape, or both. And I'll put both on screen and in the description my affiliate link, and that will support my work as well as the artist. Next up, a free option, which is canva.com. As you can see, I've just typed overlay into Canva and it's already come up with a ton of different options. So you just find the one you like on this website and download it. And my third option, of course, it's 2025, where AI exists. And you can simply ask AI to generate you an image. For example, I asked ChatGPT to create me a 16:9 webcam border for live streaming with a transparent background, and it didn't do too bad. Maybe I would actually just remove the live bit, but if I wanted to use this, I would just right-click Save Image As. So once you've obtained your graphics, how do we add them to OBS in our live stream? Well, once again, you've probably worked it out. We add a source, press the plus button under Sources, and you might have been given some moving graphics, in which case it's a media source, which you'll have to loop, and there'll just be a loop option in the settings. For me, I have some images, which I got from Fiverr a while ago, and we'll also add in that ChatGPT camera frame that we just generated as well. So choose the image option, call it whatever's relevant, so webcam border for me, and press OK, and of course just press browse to find it. So I've found it, and I'll just press OK, and you can see it's now been added onto the screen. And of course, you just have to click on it and resize it, and then keep moving it around until it is precisely over our camera frame. Don't forget, a few things you can do is you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard to precisely move things about. And also don't forget, for example, you could unlock the camera. If you need to crop it slightly, just hold Alt and drag the squares to crop it. Anyway, if I lock both of these, it looks like broadly I've got the camera frame where I want it. And again, if you want to add it to both, find either the image or the media source that you've got and add it into the correct place. And again, keep making the tweaks with the arrow keys. Once you're happy, just make sure it's locked into place. And again, don't neglect the full camera scene. Often you might have less stuff to add here, but the most common thing is to combine your chat with the full camera scene. And that's what I've got from Fiverr a few years ago. So let's add that in. Once again, for me, it's just an image source. I'll call mine full cam graphics and press OK. And once again, I'll just find it. So here it is for me, it's this just chatting one, and we'll press OK. Now at this point, you can see it's gone over everything, and it might be hiding some of my alerts. So what I'm going to do on the sources list, I'm going to click on it and I'm going to drag it down until it is just above my camera. And you can see that the follow goal has now reappeared because it was being hidden. And I can lock these graphics into place, and I can now unlock my camera and click on my camera. Although this isn't terrible, but I can just drag things and move it around. For example, I can just place the camera directly where it needs to be and then lock it back into place. And then just for the aesthetics, you might want to unlock some of your alerts and TikFinity stuff and move them around and place them into new spots, just so it looks better on your live stream. But for now, let's just make sure I have the vertical canvas set up as well. Now you might have been given some custom vertical graphics. For me, I'm just going to hack my landscape graphics together, and let's see how I do this. So I'm going to press the plus button, image, add back in my full cam graphics. Once again, I'm going to drag it down the list just so it's above the camera. To start with, I'm just going to lock it into place and then unlock the camera. And now what I'm going to do with the camera is the camera is now just going to go into the bottom third. So the camera is now in the bottom third, locked back into place. I'm going to unlock my graphics, and I'm going to just drag this down and resize it until this border is like this. And I'm just going to move it up with the arrow keys. And I'm just going to crop the top off like that. So now that looks decent. But of course, I've got all this stuff at the top. So I'm actually going to add the image again. And I'm just going to play around with it until it looks good. I'll save you the time and we'll skip to where I've finished. So there we go. It looks good now. But I ordered these a few years ago for landscape. Make your life easier just by ordering from Fiverr or wherever else some custom vertical graphics. But anyway, I'm sure you agree, if we click back and forth, the stream now looks much more customized. So the next question is, how do I view my chat while I'm live, and or how do I put the chat on the screen for others to see? So I have two solutions here. If you are multi-streaming, I recommend Caster Labs. I'll put it on screen and in the description. There's no M at the end of this URL. Or if you are once again just solo streaming on TikFinity, we'll go through the relevant TikFinity section in a second. For Caster Labs, just head into settings and accounts and add all the accounts you're multi-streaming with. Let's start by putting the chat on screen. That helps your viewers see it. If you just want to see it, we'll check out the docs in a second. But to start with, we'll head on widgets and alerts. We'll press the plus button, interaction, chat. And again, I recommend customizing this, but just for brevity, I'll copy it in the top right corner. We'll head back into OBS. Let's start by adding it to our chat scene, aka the full camera one. And I think you're familiar with this by now. We are, of course, just adding a browser source. For me, I'm going to add it to landscape, vertical, and the computer display scenes as well. So I'll save you a bit of time, and we'll be back when it's added in all four places. So we're back, and as you can see on my sources list, I've got the Caster Labs chat URL added. Don't forget, you can customize the dimensions to decide which parts of the screen the chat is covering, and you can say I've added it to my computer display as well. Sometimes you don't want to do that. That's personal preference. And of course, it's kind of invisible. You can see it when I unlock it and click on it. If you're on Twitch or Kick, you can just type in the chat to test it. Otherwise, you'll have to test it while you're live. If you want to read your multi-stream chat from inside OBS, in Caster Labs, click on Docs. We're going to copy the link to Stream Chat, minimize, head back to OBS, click on Docs. You can see I've already got it added. Let's pretend it's not added. Custom browser docs. Again, I'll delete it, pretend it's not added. Underneath doc name, Caster Labs chat, Caster Labs multi-stream chat, Control V into the URL space, apply. This box will pop up and we can drag it and dock it wherever we want. We can close the docs list and of course just resize, play around with it until it's looking the way you want it to look. Let's pretend though, just in my example, that we are only streaming on TikTok, in which case I recommend just TikFinity since you're already using it. On TikFinity, click on OBS docs on the left. If you click the settings icon here, this configures what shows in your doc. So for example, maybe we just want to show chat messages and gifts. Whatever you want, just press save and copy the URL. We're going to head back to docs as we did before, custom browser docs. I've named it something custom, TikFinity chat plus gifts, Control V for the URL and apply. Once again, it pops up. We can close the custom docs and just once again, drag it into place it wherever we want it. And then again, in my example, whenever somebody chats on TikTok or whenever I get a gift, it will just appear inside my OBS. And once again, how do you get the viewers to see the TikTok chat? Well, that's in the overlay gallery. We just click on chat on the left. You copy the URL. And again, we've done this so much now, you should be familiar with this. So I'm not going to subject you to adding this again, but just copy the URL, add it to the correct dimensions inside OBS, add it in all the places that you want it, and then your viewers will be able to see on screen the TikTok chat as well. So I think we now have a highly professional live stream set up, and optionally, we are set up to multi-stream or record in landscape as well. But of course, we need to review some of our settings before we actually go live. And let's start with the vertical settings. So these can be found in the vertical section by clicking the settings cog. And we'll just double check every page. 1080x1920 means it's a vertical canvas. Again, generally we should have good settings already. So that looks fine. So backtrack is something that helps you easily clip something that happened in your live stream. So if you have backtrack set to run, you just press this backtrack button here and it clips the last X seconds of your stream. This is set to 20. I might set it to something higher, for example 60, and it saves it into my OBS video folder here. And again, we can press this backtrack button. You can optionally set a hotkey to start backtrack, stop backtrack, or save the clip. Now in the streaming option here, because we have Aitum multi-stream installed, we're seeing this warning. But just in case you don't, these defaults are fine, a 6K bitrate, and we're using the main OBS settings. If you remember at the start, we set up a profile with good settings. So that is all fine there. Let's head to recording. And this is just if you want to record vertical video. So this all looks good to me. We're recording at a 10K bitrate. Again, you can set some hotkeys if required. And if you're recording landscape and you want to record vertical at the same time, you might want to check this box. Once again, using main OBS settings for the advanced section. So we've double checked all of our vertical settings are fine. We'll press OK. Let's head to Aitum multi-stream on the left and we'll start on the main canvas. And this can get a little bit confusing. If you're only going to multi-stream on one landscape platform, we're actually going to cancel out, head into settings, click on stream, And this is where you will set your first landscape multi-stream. So again, if you're not doing it, just set it to custom like I've done. If you are, then set it to Twitch, custom for Kick, or YouTube, or any other platform that you're streaming on. But let's now focus on what everyone will be doing, and that of course is TikTok Live. So once again, make sure you have a stream key from a free to join agency, aka Creator Network. My page, which I'll put on the screen and in the description, has a full vetted list of verified agencies, and it just fully explains everything about networks. So of course, I'm just going to remove Twitch vertical here for now. We're going to add output. We're going to choose the TikTok option. TikTok output is fine as the name. So again, the main thing the agency will do for you is it will unlock the Live Center producer page. You'll see this Go Live button appear. Again, this will only appear once you've gone through the process within your agency. It's usually a Discord server that explains how to get a stream key. So let's obtain our stream key and enter it. And it can feel annoying, but this stream key is going to change every time. So we have to input it every time. And confusingly, we'll press Go Live, but you're not actually going to be live. We're going to add a relevant topic, so I'm just going to randomly click one like PUBG Mobile. Enter all the relevant information. Again, we're not live, even though I've just pressed save and go live. Again, it's just badly designed. This is what we want. We want the server URL and the stream key. So I'm going to start by copying the server URL, and we're going to head into Aitum multi-stream and paste it. And exactly the same for the stream key and create output. So now our stream key is inputted. We can check the advanced settings if we want. We're just using the vertical encoder. And as we saw, that's just using our main default OBS settings. We've already got good settings, so that's fine. The audio settings are fine as well. So we just press OK. Again, Aitum's made it nice and easy for us. And just before you go live, you might want to review some of the other settings in the Live Center, livecenter.tiktok.com, just for things like fan club, subscriptions, super fans, whatever it's called these days. And then of course, we actually need to go live. You can see in the Aitum multi-stream settings, you can just click individual buttons to go live. You can also press start streaming to start your primary landscape stream, and you can press the button in Aitum vertical to start your vertical stream. Don't forget you should have TikFinity minimized in the background and Caster Labs if you have that too. And if you would like a full overview of Aitum Multi, I'll put my guide on the screen. And I strongly recommend further customizing TikFinity, so I'll put my full TikFinity walkthrough on the screen as well.